flyweight division, the former USBA champ, I don't know how many time amateur champion, and quite a fighter, and he's here with us, Johnny Tapia. You want to switch over to Johnny? And thanks for joining us, John.
Yeah, thank you very much for welcoming us to your home.
All right, and we also have his manager, Paul Chavez, with us.
Hi, Danny.
Thanks, Paul. Okay, and so we're going to ask Johnny a few questions, and let's ask you about the Villasana Ruiz fight. Was he pretty tough?
He is a real tough fighter. Knowing that what kind of caliber fighter he was, he's very tough. He's a Mexican champion.
Yeah.
All I went out for is just go for a victory. I never predict a knockout or nothing. I've never been that kind of fighter.
Mm-hmm.
But I give him a lot of credit. He stood his ground, and we fought to a good fight.
Yeah, he did look like he was a pretty rugged guy. I think he was scheduled to be Danny Romero's opponent that night, and you ended up fighting him. Pretty tough guy, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was scheduled to fight Danny, but I don't know what happened between them. But they asked me if I would fight him, and I said sure.
It was a good fight and a good performance. It proved that you're back all the way. And now you get a chance at the WBO world title here in Albuquerque at the Pit. That's October 12th, in the Pit, the world title. No TV in Albuquerque, but it's going to be a good fight. Henry Martinez, your opponent. What do you know about Henry?
Well, first I'd like to say I'd like to give Top Rank the opportunity of giving me the world title. You know, that was a very, very, how can I say this? It really got me excited because they picked me for the world title and they put me as #1. I give Henry a lot of respect out of the ring, but in the ring I don't respect nobody. It's something they're going for that I want. And I'm glad I got the first opportunity to fight for it. And it's a dream come true in my hometown.
Right, that's going to be an exciting night of boxing. You can't miss it. Danny Romero, Sean McLean on the card. It's going to be on national TV. Going to be a heck of a night here in Albuquerque. Henry Martinez, I understand, is a real warrior. I mean, will his style? Have you seen tape of him, and what do you think about his style as opposed to your style?
We went to California. We watched him fight, and they asked me if I would fight him. I was supposed to fight him for the NABF title, but he broke his hand. He said, "Why fight for that when you can fight for a world title?" So I would like to give a lot of thanks for my manager, my grandma and grandpa, and Paul's wife, Mally, and my wife, putting me on the right road, and things go good for me now, and just look forward to winning this world title, if God's willing. But like I say, this is a big dream for me to fight at the Pit. I'll be the first, only fighter here in Albuquerque to ever fight for a world title.
That'll be a big night, and you know, John, I gotta say, you seem a lot more relaxed now than you did, you know, a couple years ago when I saw you before. You seemed uptight and everything. You seem like a whole different person, much more relaxed now. Do you feeling good as far as your personal life?
Yeah, things are looking real good. My personal life is going good. Me and my wife are very well set. I give a lot of thanks to my manager, Paul. He's brought me a long way, you know.
Right.
And I'm just looking forward to being a world champion and being a bigger and better person after this.
Right, it's going to be a heck of a night at the Pit. I can't wait. And the WBO world title, I mean, you won the NABF title, didn't you? Not too long ago.
Yeah,
and now you're fighting for the world title. Is that kind of a surprise? Did that catch you off guard, or were you expecting that?
Well, can you believe that I'm fighting for 2 titles in 1 year, within 3 months? And it's a big opportunity for me. Top Rank, I've been with him since I first started. They have helped me out a lot. Give a lot of thanks to Bruce and Bob Arum for giving me the opportunity for fighting for the WBO. And I'm just looking forward to this fight. I'm in real great shape. Got a lot of different movements going on. Because Henry comes in with his head, I gotta watch his head and not get no headbutts.
Yeah, he's a real bull. And let's ask your trainer, your manager, Paul. Is Johnny training any different? Is he doing anything different for this fight?
Oh yes, we got a game plan and we've been working on it, and because Johnny is in for one of the toughest fights of his life.
That's what I hear. Yeah.
This kid is 19-0, and I think it's 10, 11 knockouts. He's a very tough fighter, but Johnny's going to be well prepared. In fact, right now, right this minute, we still have a week and a half to go. He's weighing 116, 116 and a half, and he feels very confident. I mean, we're in a position where every fighter in the world would love to be fighting for a world title.
Right.
And Johnny is very well deserved of this, and he's well prepared because he has fought some of the better fighters out there. In fact, one of the fighters that he fought and beat in Phoenix is a world champion right now. It's John Michael Johnson.
Right.
He KO'd Junior Jones from back east, and Johnny beat him. And then you have Jesus Chong. I mean,
Right. World class.
World class fighter.
Absolutely.
So Johnny is very well prepared for this fight, and we've been working on a few different movements and trying to get him to use his jab a little bit more, and be more patient instead of when he first came back, he came back wanting to knock everybody out, and I said, that's not your style of fighting. I mean, let's go back to your old style of boxing, moving, and this is what he's doing now, and I don't think there's anyone out there at 115 pounds that can beat Johnny, and Johnny in good condition if he fights the way he can fight, you know, boxing and moving.
Right. I was watching one of his old fights with Sergio Reyes, and Johnny was he's really a trickster in those days. I mean, he was faking up here and hitting you here, and you think you're going to bring some of that back to his style now?
I think the word is slick.
Yeah, he was. Man, he was.
Very slick. You know, Johnny's got some moves that you can't teach. I mean, it's just natural moves that he's got. He's a natural boxer. He is somebody who needs to be there, you know, to kind of remind him of different things that he might mistakes and polish him up a little bit. But other than that, I mean, Johnny is, to me, he's just a gem, you know. And I think there's no reason in the world why Johnny shouldn't win this fight. I'm not predicting, but assuming that he does. Top Rank notified me the other day that they were contacted by HBO.
Right, I heard something about that.
Yeah.
Now, okay.
And they would love to see, they asked me if I thought that Johnny could beat Orlando Canizales at 118. And other than that, I don't have very much more to say, but he has been considered, and it could be in the making.
Okay, so his name's been brought up with Orlando Canizales. That's big company.
Yes, it is.
I
Yes,
mean,
it
man,
is.
that guy's considered pound for pound maybe the best fighter in the world.
Yes, yes.
And wow.
We feel like it's quite an honor, you know, to be considered.
Sure.
I mean, I guess they think that highly of Johnny in order to fight, because they're not just going to have any kind of fights on HBO. They're very particular
Right.
about their fights. They want to, but like I say, right now we just want to wipe that off our mind. We were concentrating on this fight come in another week and a half, and once we get over this one, hopefully, pray to God that Johnny wins. When we might be thinking, because he can fight 118 if he wants to. He doesn't have no problems with weights. He can stay at 115 or 118. In fact, when he first started off his career, I think it was your third or fourth fight, wasn't it, when you fought Freddie Hernandez?
Fourth.
Fourth fight. Freddie Hernandez was a featherweight, 122 pounder.
Right.
And he fought him, and Johnny, believe it or not, knocked him out in the 8th round.
Well, that looks like there may be a big fight in your future, Orlando, but like you say, we want to forget about that for now, and maybe after the world title fight is over, however it goes then, you get on track with that, huh?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay, I want to ask Johnny, are you a boxing fan? I mean, do you just like to watch fights, or do you really not pay attention to it?
Yeah, I'm a boxing fan.
Who are some of your favorite fighters?
Julio Cesar Chavez, Sugar Ray Leonard. I like the style of Sugar Ray Robinson, a puncher and a boxer.
Right, kind of like your style.
My manager Paul predicts me as a Sugar Ray Robinson, but I want to be a Johnny Topper style. You know, I come up with some things that people don't even do. But like I say, I'm really focused for this fight. I've never been so serious for a fight. And fighting Henry Martinez in my hometown is bringing a lot of pressure on me. But I'm glad, I hope and I pray that I can fill up the pit and get all my supporters back.
Now, I have to ask you, this is a question that all boxing fans in New Mexico are real interested in. Danny Romero, the tremendous fighter, and he just now moved into the 115-pound division, and there's been talk for quite a while that you and he might meet sometime. I mean, is there a possibility that we might see that fight?
Well, you know, I don't got nothing bad to say about the Romeros. They're a very good group of people. I fought with them in the amateurs.
Right.
And Danny can't make 112 no more. He says he might go up to 118, 115. Right now, I focus on the fighters that I have to fight. And if people really want to know if me and Danny are ever going to fight, well, time will tell. And if it does, I guess we'll meet.
I guess it's kind of like the thing with Canizales. I mean, if they offer it to you, then you consider it, you know. But you wouldn't turn it down though if it came up, if the money was right, and you know the situation was right. You would consider that fight then.
Well, first of all, I like to say with my manager, I go with him first. But we have never turned down no fighter, champion or not champion. I fought every champion, Mexican champion, Culiacan, Mexicali. I fought all the champions, and I've proven myself. And if Paul thinks that we can beat him, well, then we'll go for it. But I want money's right in this ball game. That's what we're in for, you know. But also, beating such a great fighter like that will be a big opportunity for me to reach bigger and better. But like right now, I'm focusing on Henry Martinez, and my manager says after this fight, let's go fight him, because he has all the faith in me, and he's the only one that knows how I fight. So
Right.
we'll go for it.
And Paul, did you have something to add to that?
Yes, up to this point, we have never refused a fighter to fight a fighter. I don't care who it's been. I know Jesus Chong, for one, was offered to fight with Michael Carvajal, and they turned it down, and that's the fact. It's documented. And they offered it to us. Johnny fought him at the Hacienda there in Las Vegas, and Johnny beat him every round except one round, I think was a draw. And anyhow, the point that I'm trying to make is that we have never refused any fighter that they have come up with. Johnny has fought them all.
Right. Well, that's what makes Johnny kind of a fan favorite, is that, you know, his record has some good names on it, some real world-class names. I mean, you just finished fighting the Mexican national champion who's world-rated, and, you know, like you said, John Michael Johnson's a world champion now, and Jesus Chong is world-class, and I'm sure there's others in there, so...
Roman Gomez,
These are the-
Josefino Suarez, we could
Right.
go on down the line.
I mean, yeah, I've seen
Henry
it.
Martinez, that I knocked out in 30 seconds in the first round, just fought for a world title.
There you go. I mean, if you look in the Citro record book, you see names, and just... I was kind of surprised. I said, wow, I didn't know Johnny fought this guy and this guy. Very impressive. Now, I want to change the subject a little bit here, and Johnny, I think you've made some pretty, some friends. You seem to make friends with everybody, and you made friends with some pretty big names like Tommy Morrison. I think you kind of hit it off pretty good with Tommy.
Yeah, I fought with Tommy in Oklahoma. He used to be under my card when I
Right.
first started. He
Right.
was only a 6-round fighter, and then he went 8. And then he became somebody very big. But he's still the Tommy Morrison that I know the first day I met him. And he's a very nice person.
I think you also were pretty good friends with Mike Tyson in the amateur days. Is that true?
I roommate with Mike Tyson for 8 years, went to Ireland, London, Finland, St. Louis, here in Albuquerque in '83. Mike Tyson's still a partner of mine. And I just hope that he becomes a bigger and better person when he gets out.
Right.
He's been through a lot. He knows how it is to go down and come back up. And I wish him the best of luck.
I think you, I've seen a guy with a lot of jewelry and a mohawk in your corner a while back there. Mr. T, I mean, how did you hook up with Mr. T, man?
We were having a big press conference at the sports bar in California, Almonte,
Santa Monica.
Santa Monica. And I kept on looking at this guy, and I went and I asked him for an autograph. You know, we all got we got heroes, you know, that we look up to. And I started talking to him, and he started talking to me, and we started getting along very good. And I asked him, he told me that his dad was a preacher. And I told him that I was having a big fight that night. I said, you think that me and you can kneel down and pray? And he said, sure. And then once that hit it off, I asked him to be in my corner. And he went and asked my manager. My manager said, well, sure, you know. So I like to turn it over to my manager and let him talk about that.
Okay, well, what'd you think about Mr. T there, Paul?
Well, as a novelty,
Yeah, really.
a one-time show, it was great. You know, he actually, you didn't ask. He asked you. He said, how about working with you? Remember?
Oh, yeah.
He asked you, and then he says, I'll turn you over to him. And I said, sure, why not, Mr. T? You know, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, he adds a lot of color to the
A
show.
lot of color, yeah, but in a fight like this, I would, you know, it's all business for something like this. You can one time deal is fine, and that's it.
So we won't be seeing Mr. T with a cotton swab on his ear in Johnny's corner here against Martinez then, huh?
No way.
Okay, you won't be the cut man? Mr. T, man, I love him. Okay, hey, you also know, I think you were quite a had a high reputation in the amateur days. I guess you know Holyfield and Pernell Whitaker, those guys too?
They all roommate with me in Colorado Springs for the 1984 Olympics. They're very good people. Like I say, I want to try to make it this time and get up there and become a world champion and know how it is. This is the first time to become somebody in my career as somebody very big. But I still want to keep my humble. I met Alexis Arguello, and he always told me if I would stay humble, I'd go a long way. And things are turning out that way, and like I say, I hope and I pray. I know that I'm fighting a rugged fight, and I know he's going to be tough, but I'll be right there to hang with him.
Okay, and
Yeah, I wanted to say that we're going to be making history that night, because this is going to be the first night ever for a local boy that was born, raised, and reared right here in Albuquerque to fight for a world title. The one that came the closest was Ardot, the Golden Boy.
right.
But he was born and raised here, but he never fought for a world title here, and he never won the world title. We're making history because he's going to be fighting the first ever to fight for a world title, and if assuming that he wins it, he'll be the first one to ever win it right from here. Bobby Foster, yes. Bobby Foster wasn't born in New Mexico.
Right.
Bobby Foster was
Transplant.
born in Vorger, Texas.
That's right.
So Johnny will be the first one ever that was
First-
born and raised right here in Albuquerque.
A native New
Native.
Mexican champion.
Exactly.
Well, I'm a transplant from LA, but I mean, when I was in LA, I was hearing about Johnny Tapia. In fact, well, I have an uncle named Johnny Tapia, and I used to cut out the newspaper articles and send it to him and say, hey, I didn't know you were fighting. He said, that's not me. But I want to ask Johnny about sparring. Who you been sparring with for this fight?
I've been sparring a lot of different fighters, get a lot of different movements. I sparred Roy's boxer, I forgot his name, but I've been sparring a real sharp prospect coming up named Robbie Lovato, very fast. We go 7-8 rounds sparring, and good sparring. This is the best sparring I've ever had. And then I sparred Roy's fighter that's real strong. And I'm getting different types of movements. Sometimes I got to box to get back my movements, and sometimes I'll slug with these guys. See, I like sparring these bigger guys, for when they hit me, it hurts, but when I get with the guys my size, it does not affect me.
Right. That's a good technique. I know a lot of the fighters, the smaller divisions, use that. I got to ask you this question about your nickname, the Babyface Assassin. Where did that come from?
In 1983, I was getting ready to fight Edwin Jose Rosario. He was rated number 2 in the world. He's coming from Cuba. He's knocked out all the Cubans or Russians. And I've always had that baby look. And Rick Wright named me that.
Oh, Rick Wright.
Yeah, Rick Wright named me that. And since then, from my amateur to my pro career, it's still the same.
Yeah, you kept your the same nickname, the whole way, and it's a good nickname. I like it. It's definitely different. But leave it to Rick Wright, man. He's colorful with words. He really came up with something good there. Well, John, I want to ask you. Let's get off of boxing completely. Do you follow other sports? I mean, do you follow the Lobos or anything?
Yeah, I'm a basketball fanatic. Basketball is my favorite sport, no?
Uh-huh.
And I gotta support my town the way they support me, Now it's footballs, and I'm hoping the Lobos that can come up and get on the ball. They've been looking good. They just gotta struggle and get that victory in,
Yeah.
And I struggle and fight to keep my dream alive, and I'm pretty sure they're doing theirs too. And then when the basketball comes, Lobos, I gotta support my town like the way they support me.
Maybe that would be a good example, a good, something to fire people up, that Johnny did it, we can do it. From New Mexico, and hopefully someday soon he'll be the world champion. And I want to thank Johnny Tapia and Paul Chavez for joining us here on the 8 Count Boxing Hour. It's a real pleasure. 2 of the finest gentlemen. They've always been real good to me and all the fans of Albuquerque. I thank you guys both for your time.
Thank you for having us, Danny.
I appreciate it, and next time, if you need us, we'll be here.
Well, I want you to come over again, and next time I want you to bring that world title belt. I want to see it up close. Can you do that?
To have a beautiful belt, to come in a beautiful home, we'll be here.
Okay, thanks a lot, man. Johnny Tapia. All right, guys, nothing to